Hello everyone, Molasses here again, and for this video I wanted to tackle a subject that's much lighter, much more fun than my last video, which was very tragic and upsetting to hear about. This time we're going to be talking about the Panama Monster, or the Panama Creature, which is an example of one of my absolutely favorite categories of creatures, which are the Globsters. Anyway, I'll get to the Globsters in a bit, but this creature was found by a group of teenagers outside of a cave along a river in Cerro Azul, Panama. Okay, and this happened in 2009. But anyway, getting to what a Globster is. So basically, around the world, people find washed up corpses of all kinds of stuff. And what happens is when a creature dies in water and that water degrades that creature, it looks completely different than when it did originally. And so oftentimes when these creatures are found, the people who find them think that they've found some monster, some new species, some sort of alien supernatural beast or something. And so these are the beloved Globsters. For example, this guy right here, you may think that looks like a friggin' dragon that was just dragged out of the sea, but it was actually a basking shark. This guy here, this was pretty famous. It's called the Montauk Monster, found in, I think, New York. And, you know, this looks like some sort of ratchet-ass chupacabra looking, I don't even know what. But it was a raccoon, you know what I'm saying? And then this guy, he's called like the Seawolf Globster. I love him so much. He was turned into one of the most famous SCPs, okay? Which, if you don't know, it's a fun website to check out if it's like 3 a.m. and you're bored and you want to get creeped out. But basically, these guys make their rounds around the internet, stir up a lot of conversation before eventually some sort of biologist sees it and then is like, oh, you know what, that's not what you think it is. And here, if you look at the Wikipedia page on Globsters, as you can see, most of these are whale carcass, whale carcass, whale carcass, basking shark. You know, they're always basking sharks or whales. But the Panama Monster is a bit different. And I will say, if you like Globsters, you should check out Trey the Explainer. He has a lot of videos on Globsters. They're really cool, but he has not talked about the Panama Monster, which, come on, I mean, look at this guy. He's one of my favorite Globsters, so I had to tell this story. Anyway, our story begins in September of 2009. We have a group of 4 to 5 teenagers that are all around 15, 16 years old, and they are just romping around doing their thing, and Panama, alongside a river where a cave is. And the children, or the teenagers, say that they saw this weird, freakish, pale, white beast start lumbering out of the cave, and they said it was approaching them. And their natural response to this was to kill it with stones and sticks. So they basically said they stoned this creature to death and then threw it in a puddle of water, because of course that's the natural thing to do. Anyway, they went back to the scene with a camera, took pictures of the creature, and sent it to the Panamanian news station called Telemetro. And basically, Telemetro took this photo and they circulated it around the internet, and it caused quite a stir. It was like one of the top viewed photos throughout the internet the day that it was found. But when it started getting attention, people started actually looking into this, and everyone had a different idea of what this creature was. A lot of people looked at it and they were like, that's a sloth. A lot of people looked at it and they were like, it looks like a mutated dolphin. A lot of people thought it was an alien. Personally, it reminds me of these creatures that Deidara summoned while fighting Sasuke and Naruto, but no one cares about that. Anyway, another important thing that I want to know in this slide is that this is a picture the day of, and then this is a picture like a week later. I think it was actually 5 days later. So this thing dried up really quickly, and you can see that there is a lot of bodily distortion happening. And I'll say, when I first saw this photo, I really had no idea what it was. I was like, this thing looks crazy. But now that I'm looking at it, and now that it's explained, you know, it gets more obvious that it was indeed a sloth. It was a three-toed sloth from the jungles of Panama, and basically these people from the National Environmental Authority of Panama, they performed a biopsy on the creature, and they quickly determined that it was a sloth and that he died from blunt force trauma to around his body. So he was probably up in the trees living his sloth life, and then something knocked him out, and he unfortunately died hitting the rocks. One of the workers from the National Environmental Authority of Panama, his name was Melquiades Ramos, and he had determined that this creature had been submerged in water around 48 hours before the teenagers found him. Which explains why it was so distorted. And this is a common thing for globsters, where when something gets submerged in water for so long, all of its hair gets lost. Its body sort of bulges in weird places. The head looks entirely different. I mean, all you gotta do is look up a photo of a shaved bear to learn that creatures with and without their hair look drastically different. So, I mean, if I saw this thing, I would also freak out and think it was some sort of alien monster. Anyway, while this was going on, the Telemetro station from Panama interviewed the teenagers. And when they started interviewing the teenagers, we started getting some mixed stories. So one of the kids said, and remember, the original story was that this thing lumbered out of a cave. But during an interview, one kid said that they were playing in the river and the creature was like grabbing onto their legs from underwater. So already, you know, the story's changing. Clearly they were stretching the truth. But that's probably what happened. Probably this sloth fell from the tree and died upon impact in the water. Was there for 48 hours. Washed along, and then sort of brushed past these teenagers playing in the river. They look down, they see something they've never seen before, they freak out, and, you know, claim it was some sort of beast from the cave. Anyway, the agency of Panama proceeded to then respectfully bury the sloth after their studies. Which I really appreciate. I'm a big sloth enthusiast myself. I have interacted with sloths before, and maybe that's why I'm so drawn to this story. And here I included this photo. This is a photo of a sloth that's been sort of submerged in this preservative liquid. It's from a museum, and I think you can really see the similarities from, you know, this strange head and jaw, this narrow sort of top of the torso with this big bulging belly and the long slender arms. It looks really similar to this because, well, they are the same creature. But anyway, that is the story of the Panama monster. And, you know, I try to get in touch with some of the people who were here, who worked on this. I think I followed Melquiades Ramos on Twitter. I don't know, I tried to DM him, it didn't work. And I really wish I could get in touch with those teenagers who were playing in that river that day. If any of y'all are watching, you know, hit a guy up. Send me a message on YouTube. I'd love to hear how this event has changed your life. Because I can empathize. Like, that's something I would totally do as a 15-year-old. But anyway, thanks for checking in. I hope you found this as fascinating as I do. And bye.